Guys, so I'm finally ready to vlog about what has been going on with me. As I've mentioned in previous vlogs, I've been going for a diagnostic period at Cardiff Primary Mental Health Services. Through that assessment period that I've had, I've been diagnosed with panic disorder and generalized anxiety disorders. So I want to talk about that today. I'm not feeling very great, kind of housebound today. The hot weather's really not doing very much for me today. So I figured now is a great time to talk about this. I feel ready to talk about it and I want to vlog about it. So I've been told that I've probably had these disorders for 10 plus years. But due to a fight with my ex-GP, it never got sorted. I was never taken seriously. I got diagnosed with PTSD, and that just seemed to be it. Any problems I went for then just became, oh, that's just part of your PTSD. And I knew there was something there before the PTSD, before the traumatic trauma, before the traumatic experience. So I kept pushing and I got nowhere. And then I moved back to Cardiff because as you guys may or may not know, I moved back to Bristol for a time and I moved back here. So I moved back to Cardiff and I got a new GP, and literally first visit to this GP, I basically present this huge list of anxiety symptoms that are significant to GAD, which is the abbreviation for generalized anxiety disorder. So if I start saying GAD, that's why. And also social anxiety. So I thought I had social anxiety disorder, which is SAD, and then GAD. So I got referred and then had the assessment, and they were just like, yeah, we also think you have panic disorder. So with the panic disorder, I'm finding I get a lot of panic attacks or smaller attacks, which are called anxiety attacks. So, but the issue I have there is that there is no actual trigger for them. They're random. They can happen. Sometimes they happen in my sleep, so I'll wake up and I'm having a panic attack or I'm having an anxiety attack. It could be when I'm with a friend in the middle of laughing and I'm just suddenly extremely overwhelmed and I'm panicking and I don't know why. So the panic disorder, I have no specific triggers or learning how to have specific triggers. And any symptoms that are similar to a panic attack or an anxiety attack, I will in my head then associate that and think, oh my God, I'm having a panic attack, or it's going to cause a panic attack, or this is an onset start of a panic attack, which is the main diagnostic criteria for diagnosing a panic disorder. So I will then start to avoid situations where I've had panic attacks in the fear that it will then, that exposure will then cause another panic attack. So at the moment, I'm not exactly able to go very far on my own. So a lot of the time I'm asking my friends if they can come with me. If I'm going somewhere new, can you come with me? Can we learn the bus route? Because of the panic disorder, mainly. And then with the GAD, the GAD's a bit more easier. Well, I wouldn't say that because they're both very chronic and very severe, but in terms of it being easier, GAD actually has specific trigger points. So I'm able now to start learning my trigger points. So at the moment with the GAD, I'm finding very loud, crowded, noisy, and busy areas are a specific trigger for my GAD. But also what then happens is I could not be triggered by my GAD, but the panic disorder could be triggered for any reason, and then will trigger the GAD, and then I'll kind of have this massive anxiety attack, and then a panic attack, and then I will spiral into being incredibly anxious and outwardly anxious, and just worrying about literally anything and everything obsessively. So it's quite overwhelming, and it's a really overwhelming experience, and it's quite awful. It makes me feel really isolated and limited in what I can do, because I'm worried it will happen when I'm out. I'm worried what people think about me, and it triggers a series of worries, and they're very obsessive, and I'm not able to control that worrying. So it's very difficult to explain to someone what's going on, because most people's reactions, if they don't fully understand it or if they've not experienced it, will be, well, why are you anxious? You have nothing currently to be anxious about. There is no specific trigger. That is the issue with GAD and panic disorders, because I'm literally on edge. I'm always anxious. I'm always waiting for something bad to happen. I'm waiting for impending doom, and it's really difficult to explain that and to live with that, and to constantly be over analytical of myself, of other people. It's actually quite exhausting, and I find that I get really worked up and overwhelmed by a lot of things because I'm so over analytical. I'll repeat everything in my head from the day, and what I've said to people, what I didn't say to people, what I should have said, what I didn't say, how I reacted. Was that bad? Did they take it the wrong way? Have I offended someone? Have I upset someone? And it's like this tumbleweed that just goes and goes and goes and goes, and it's suddenly like being on a treadmill that's on the fastest setting, and the button's jammed, and you cannot keep up with it, and you cannot switch it off because the button's jammed. That's literally what happens in my head. I will just kind of run and run and run and run, and my body's falling behind that on that treadmill, and I'm tripping on myself. But the anxiety is just constantly like churning and going and going, and it's like going full pelt on that treadmill, and I'm all the way behind trying to keep up and trying to put everything together and try to calm down. And the other thing I find really difficult is actually calming down. So when my anxiety is triggered, I find it really, really difficult to calm down because everything is so overwhelming. Outside stimuli is overwhelming. Sometimes being with people is overwhelming. Yesterday I was with my friend Nathan, and Nathan knows everything that's going on, and we sorted out stuff. Like we were sorting out everything, and it wasn't really until about an hour and a half, because we met up around 12, and it wasn't really, so we had lunch out, and it wasn't really until like an hour and a half into being in his house and having been with him for a long time at that point, like 2, maybe 3 hours at this point, and I'd only just kind of settled into some normality of feeling comfortable around him. And I was just like, why is this happening? Because I know him really well. There's nothing to be... But I was so rammed up from anxiety over the weekend that when I saw him, I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to, be around him. I didn't know how to, act or say or what to do. And it was just really awkward. And I didn't actually know how to verbalize it. So I couldn't actually tell him what was going on because I didn't really know what was going on. And then it wasn't really until I calmed down that I was like, oh, okay, I think it's because my anxiety's been so rammed and it's, impacted. And I'm kind of freezing from that anxiety because I'm worried it's gonna start the treadmill and that's gonna steamroll everything, and I'm going to end up in tears in this person's house. So it was kind of like a defense mechanism that my brain has sorted out for me, so I wasn't crying, or I wouldn't start crying. So it's really difficult, and sometimes it's just really lonely, and it's really isolating because I'm having more bad days than good days, and I don't really want to tell people that, and I don't really want to worry people with what's going on with me, and I don't want to burden people. Sometimes I will tell, for example, Nathan, I'm completely fine, and the reality is that I'm far from that, and he knows me too well now to know that half the time when I say that, he knows I'm actually having a really bad day. But it is really difficult, and I'm finding life extremely challenging at the moment. It's just really overwhelming, and it's not exactly something that's easy to explain to people if they haven't been through it. And some days I can't even leave the flat. And some days I'm just crying for no actual reason, or no specific reason, or no trigger has caused me to start crying. I will just be so overwhelmed that I will start crying because of the anxiety disorders and because of everything that's going on, and the fact that like any kind of normality I felt I had is kind of gone. So it's all been difficult, and I've wanted to post this video for a while, but I've just been processing everything that's kind of been going on, and I've just been trying to sort out stuff behind the scenes to do with like my own well-being, to do with counselling and all that kind of stuff. So I have been trying to be as proactive as possible to try help me get back onto the road of recovery. But I've been told by the primary mental health team that this is like a really long-term thing. This is like probably one of the worst cases. It's chronic and it's severe, and it's going to take me a long time. This is a long-term process in healing. So there you go. This is what is currently happening. There is a lot going on in my life. I don't know how to deal with it all. Mainly just been playing video games on my Xbox 360 because I like to just lose myself in a character's world instead of mine, because they probably don't have as much anxiety as I do. So yes, I've wanted to make this video for ages. I've been churning it over in my head, and I'm happy it is now finally out there, and I've been able to express myself as coherently as I possibly can to the best of my abilities. I hope you guys found this video useful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, I guess. I don't know, leave a like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I'm probably going to go for a nap now because I'm exhausted. I haven't even like done anything that requires me to be exhausted, but I'm exhausted, so I'm probably going to go for a nap. Anyway, I'll speak to you guys later. Bye.